Okay, so this project is one where you're going to illustrate a performance. You're going to work 8 by 10, and you're going to use warm and cool colors contrasting each other. And then you're also going to do one that's in solid colors and one that is showing textures. So here we have a magic show, a speech, the start of a performance, it looks like, a musical performance. So you can choose really any performance event that you want to. So I decided to go with the dog show, and so I'm using this picture. You can also choose to use one picture or more than one. So there's the whole thing now. So I'd start it by doing File, New, and then I'm gonna go 8 by 10 inches. Make sure you're not on pixels, in case when you did tutorials earlier you were using pixels. I would recommend probably 10 by 8 so that it's a little wider than it is tall. And then 150 for the resolution. You can name it last name, first name, performance. And then now you're going to want to drag your picture in, and I've already done that here. And then you can kind of see where I've started. So here's what I have so far, and here's the original picture. The more detail you add, the more lifelike it'll be, but you're definitely going to be simplifying. If I tried to add in every single little detail that existed, I would probably go crazy. So kind of think about what the focal points are going to be. Add more detail in the focal points. Add less detail in the background. So for the dogs, I might add detail. For the dog show participants, the people, I'm going to add detail. The crowd in back, I probably would not use a lot of detail. I would really keep those simple. I might want to do, eyes, shadows, cast shadows, shoes. In this case, I've already gone and done tie, collar. So how do you do that? Let me show you. And then I think since I'm, recording this, I'm going to just show you, and then I'll let you guys go get the pictures, and then I'll show you a second time. So if for some reason you missed it, you're not sure how to do it, you'll see it again. Alright, so first step to do this now. I'm going to figure out what I want to draw, and I'm going to use this dog as my example. I need to select that dog. So I might zoom in a little so I can see him nicely. I can use my select tools. So since I already have a lot of layers here, I'm going to go down to the photograph layer, and I'm going to go in, and I could go ahead and do quick select. See how that grabs him? Might get a lot of him. Oops. And remember, with quick select, you want to switch to minus if it gets too much. Also adjust your brush size down if it gets too much. It's all controlled by how much contrast there is between the edge and the background. So it's really going to depend on your image, whether it grabs nicely or not. Whoa, now that was bad there. Let me undo that. So now I'm going to switch into minus, and I'm going to push this back. And I think I'll grab the rest of him using the regular lasso, or maybe even the polygon. Let's try polygon. So now I'm going to use these buttons, right? This button is add. This one is subtract. This is where you start off. So I need to actually do some adding and subtracting to this existing selection. Make sure your feather is on 0. So you want nice clean edges for this. You don't want fuzzed out edges. So I'm going to go with add, and I'm going to go and add in the edge of his face, his little beard. And you just have to kind of circle around to add. If it grabs again, just go in and just click once and it should let you get out of it. In some places I'm going to subtract. I can use the shortcuts, which are the shift button to add and the option button to subtract as well, or the buttons that are there on the desktop. This is actually kind of a good project because we are going to be doing Illustrator next semester, and it's based on drawing with lots of shapes that you put together, and it's very similar to what we're doing here in a way. So once I have it selected pretty well, then I'm going to go in now and I'm going to make a new empty layer. I could name that if I wanted. It might be easier when you see things. I'll do, say, second dog. Although I didn't name these other ones. And now I'm going to fill it on that new empty layer using my paint bucket. So if I want to sample the dog color, I can do that. And then I'll use my paint bucket to fill. Now, I might even choose a little darker actually. I think that's too light. That's the base dog. I would probably turn this off, and I would go in and I would make some layers on top of that, and I would add a little bit of detail to him. I think having his ear on there, a separate color, would probably be nice. Or even I could just do the shadow under his ear. Maybe I'll do both. So I'm going to draw the ear, and I'll make a new empty layer, and I'll fill it. Might go just slightly darker than the dog's body. You can kind of decide what colors you want to use as you go. So there I've got the ear, and then let's see the dog. Here's the dog. There's his ear. At first it'll look kind of weird. Oh, I forgot his tail. I have to add a tail here too. But as you get more pieces together, it's gonna start coming together. So if you look at this guy, I've put a little more time into him. And we've got pieces, I'll turn some off just so you can kind of see. So, without hair, without, I'm just adding as I go. Kind of think about what can go behind, what, and I would draw through. So like, for instance, with that dog, let's see, where's that dog? Even though I couldn't really see the man's legs in the photograph because the dog was covering him, notice I drew through there just so I could do it all in one piece. So once you start adding a whole bunch of detail, you're going to have a lot of layers, and if you do, this entire performance, you might end up with 100 even. It's a little hard to navigate when you have so many. You have to scroll a lot. So one thing that will make it a lot easier is if you put the layers that belong to particular parts of the picture into folders. And right down here in the bottom of the layer panel, there's a little, it looks like a little folder. It's create a new group button. Now there's a few ways you can do it. The easy way is to select both layers, and I'm just going to hold on to my command key, my Apple key, and I'm going to highlight both my dog and the ear. Then I'm going to go up here to the little layer options, and I'm going to say new group from layers, and I'm going to name this second dog. And then, I might go in and make more parts to him, and I'd put them all in there. So that's the easy way. The other way to do it is to click that little folder button, and then to name it, if you want to name it, you've got to actually click on it. It should let you change like that, and then I'm going to type it, And then I'm going to drag those pieces in. So once they're in there, you get in there too, then I can toggle, that little group open and closed. So, and I can see what I have. But I find this way the options are, probably a little bit easier because you can go ahead and, just name it at the same time that you put them in there. Once you have groups, you can also toggle when you're in the Move tool. You can change your auto select to group or layer. So you can grab those groups, which is also another easier way to work if you're trying to move things around and you want to move things all at once and not just a piece at a time. It's like linking basically, but using groups instead, and that's that auto select by group.